Add the square root of 9. That could be 3 times 3, or it could be negative 3 times negative 3, right?
Yes.
What I'm trying to say is that this number, when you square something, the answer is going to be what? Positive. Well, it's going to be positive. Okay? Absolute value. Same thing. It's always going to be positive, right? So, if I square a negative 2, I'm going to get a positive 4, right? Well, if I take the square root of something, it has to be a positive number, right? I mean, it could be a positive or a negative number, but I can't ever get the square root of a negative number is what I'm getting at, okay? If I try to take the square root of negative 9, name me a number that I can multiply by itself and get a negative number. Can't do it. You can do a positive times a negative, but that's not the same number, is it? Right? If I take two negatives times each other, I get a positive. So there's no solution to this, right? Except somebody, somewhere, someday said, you know what? I think we should do this. And this is what they did. They made a new little symbol, like that, and that equals the square root of a negative 1.
What?
Okay? Okay? That's an imaginary number, also known as a complex number. Okay?
Why does he have to do this to us?
Just, I know. Anyway, so I, the letter I, it looks like a little italicized or cursive I, okay, equals a negative 1. Okay? That means that I squared equals what? Well,
Negative 2.
no. If I take that times itself, what am I going to get?
1.
Negative 1.
What?
Right?
1 times negative
No.
1 times negative 1 is
Look.
1.
Right, but it's what's underneath here. It's this times this, right? Like if I do the square root of 2 times the square root of 2, right? I get 2. Well, I just get what that is, right? So if you take the square root of this, you get negative 1. Okay? I squared is negative 1. Okay? Everybody good with that? Okay. So, back up. The reason we do this is because if I had the square root of 9, I can break it down into the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 9, right?
Yep.
Would that make sense?
Yep.
Okay? So, I'm still stuck on that. I'm going to check on that. Okay, let's come back to that. But, square root of negative 1 times the square root of 9 would give you the square root of negative 9, right?
Yeah.
What did we say the square root of negative 1 was? I, right? I, and what's the square root of 9? 3, right? Now we're not going to leave it like this. We're going to do what? Put the 3 and then the I. So the square root of a negative 9 is 3i. You have seen it?
Yeah, I don't know where
I think maybe last year. I don't know if I think we touched on it a little bit in honors. Okay? Taylor, do you remember it? No?
You did for like 2 seconds. You did it in baby.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe 1 or 2 days, yeah. Okay? And the reason that I do this is because when you start doing the quadratic formula and things like that, you're going to see this and be like, well, what the heck is that? And then I'm going to have to backtrack. So I just do it now. Okay? So let's try another one. Let's do,
Negative 8.
okay, negative 8. Okay? What's a perfect square that's in here?
4.
4, right? But there's also a negative 1. So we do the square root of a negative 1, right? And then we do the square root of 4 and the square root of 2, right?
Yep.
Negative 4 times 2 would be negative 8. Everybody with me on this?
Yep.
Yes? What's the square root of negative 1? I. Square root of 4 is 2. And then square root of 2 stays as square root of 2. So what's my answer? Square root of 2. 2i, square root of 2. Okay?
I know where to put that.
You just put it after the 2, but before the square root. Okay? It goes in front of square roots, but after whole numbers. I mean, after coefficients. Alright, let me pause that. 3i
Yes.
and times 4i. Okay? That equals what? Negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. And I times I is I squared. Alright? Okay?
So it,
Would that be negative 13?
No.
no, it would be,
Negative
it would
12
be
stays negative 12. What's
it
I
would be
squared equal?
12.
Negative
It would just
1.
be 12.
Right. Negative 12 times negative 1 is
12.
12.
Yeah, it is.
Okay? It's not that bad, right?
I did it out of myself.
Let's try this one. Negative 3,
You're expected to do it.
negative 5. Okay? First of all, let's pull the negative 1 out here. If I pull a negative 1 out of it, if I pull a negative 1 out of here, I would have I, right? Square root of 3. True?
Yeah.
Yep. Times I, square root of 5, right?
Yeah.
I times I would be I squared,
Yeah.
square root of 15.
Wait, I thought you couldn't multiply those.
Sure you can. You can multiply them, you can't add them if they're not the same. Multiply is fine. I squared is,
Negative 1.
so negative 1 times the square root of 15 would just be the negative square root of 15.
Why couldn't you just multiply from the beginning?
You could. I mean, you could do, say, negative or positive 15. But see, well, see, a lot of people would go from here and go square root of 15, right? And you think negative times negative gives me a positive. Is that the same as this?
No.
Mm-mm. See the difference?
Good
question. question. So that, yeah, that's not right.
Yeah, they can write this
Okay.
report
Just
sheet.
multiply and put the negative on the outside.
Well, if you know to, yeah. A lot of people would just automatically make it positive though, because they're both negative. Okay? Okay, let's try this. Everybody good with this so far?
Yeah.
Alright, anybody wanna take a picture of it? Of course, she's recording it, I'm gonna put it on Classroom, so, okay. Alright, so what if we have 2i plus 4 plus negative 6i minus 3?
No, just skip that one.
No, note what, the big thing that you should see right off the bat is this guy right here. Okay?
Plus.
That means that you're combining them, you're not multiplying, you're adding them, okay? So don't do
So
distributed,
since
okay?
they have, so since
this one and this one.
we have T's, I mean,
Shut up.
Hold, stop,
She's a teacher, bro.
okay? 2 plus a negative 6.
Negative 4.
Negative 4i. Negative 4i. And then 4 and a negative 3 is
1.
positive 1. Is there anything else we can change here? No. Or we just leave it just like that.
Alright.
That's it. That's the answer.
So you just combine it?
Yeah, you just add like terms on those. Again, this is the big thing to look for right here. Because
What if it's subtraction?
if it were subtraction,
You just subtract that?
yeah, you just subtract it. So if we were
Would
subtracting,
would you have to do the one thing where the 6i becomes positive?
Yes. yes, so this would become positive 6 and this would become positive 3, right?
So it'd be 8i.
8i plus 7. Yep. Good. But you can also have, just clean this board. There we go. Plus 4 and 6i plus 3. Let's do it like that. We can also multiply. Okay? So, when you multiply binomials, two monomials, gives you a binomial. So you take 2i times 6i and 2i times 3. So 2i times 6i is 12i
Squared.
squared, right? 2i times 3 would be 6i, right?
Yeah.
And now 4 times 6i would be
24.
24i.
Yeah.
And then 4 times 3 is
12.
just 12, right? What's I squared?
Negative 1.
Negative 1. 6 plus 24 is 30i plus 12. So we got negative 12
So just
plus 30i plus 12 is 30i. Okay?
You're right.
Two sides because it's study